Back now with a tragic tale. An 11-year-old found dead, brutally beaten in her Norfolk home. Her mother and her mother's boyfriend sit in jail, charged with her murder.
Now that child's family is speaking out, saying there is more to her story. 13 News Now investigative reporter Laura Geller is back from Minnesota with their interview.
This is an emotional story with disturbing details. For Heaven Watkins, those disturbing details were her life. Her family now says failures in the system led to her death in May, and they don't want this to happen to another child.
She was so sweet, just the sweetest.
11 years old, Heaven Watkins had a bright smile, was chatty, and loved to sing. She was also an innocent victim.
She used to, "You're not gonna let nobody kill me? You're going to still take good care of me?" And I said, "No, I'm not going to let nobody kill you."
Death came on May 18th. Heaven was killed at her home on Ballview Avenue. Her mother, Latoya Smith, and Smith's boyfriend, DeMont Harris, are charged with her murder. Prosecutors say Harris beat Heaven so badly her small intestine burst. She had more than a dozen old and new fractures. They allege Smith did nothing to stop the abuse, and for days the couple fed Heaven only bread and water.
Do you think Heaven's death was preventable?
Yes.
To figure out what happened, we traveled to Minnesota, where Heaven had her first contact with Child Protective Services.
This is a system, it's called Child Protection, but who are you protecting?
Her aunt, Sharonda Orridge, says Heaven had been neglected and abused for years. Back in 2014, authorities in St. Paul got the first report of abuse. Court documents show Heaven said her father hit her. There were also concerns about possible sexual abuse.
That White House on the corner is where Heaven lived with Latoya. When CPS removed her, she came up the street to live here in this house with her aunt. Just 6 houses separate the two, but it was a world of difference for Heaven.
She lived with Sharonda for more than a year, gaining weight, catching up on her doctor's appointments, and making progress in school.
She looked like she was singing right there.
Sharonda feared what would happen if Heaven went back to Latoya's home too soon. She wrote dozens of emails to caseworkers and supervisors.
Is it going to take one of the children getting hurt before something is truly done?
Records show officials thought Heaven's mom was making significant improvements too. So after trial home visits, Child Protection returned Heaven to Latoya Smith and closed the case. Not long after, the family moved to Virginia. Sharonda thinks Commonwealth authorities should have known about Heaven's history in Minnesota when they got their first tip she was being abused here.
I knew it was going to happen. And I knew Heaven was going to be the one.
A spokesman for Ramsey County, Minnesota, explains social services are required to work toward family reunification. And if a parent complies with orders, a child must be returned. Then the parent is no longer legally obligated to cooperate. Meanwhile, those who loved Heaven wish they could have convinced Child Protection to do more to protect her.
If you could talk to her today, what would you tell her?
I would tell her I'm sorry that I couldn't do more. To me, Latoya and DeMont is not the only ones that killed Heaven. Child Protection had a big part of that.
Both Smith and Harris have declined our interview requests. This is just the beginning. What did Virginia authorities know about Heaven's abuse? As we continue to dig deeper into recent child abuse deaths, we find more challenges in the system. Laura Geller, 13 News Now.